Hey, how's it going? It's Jim, and right now I'm aboard the ORCA Mark 1, which is from Vora Motors. It's one of their fleet of scooters and scooter, if you want to call it a scooter bike, available. And being a dealer for Vora Motors, you could also buy this from me, even though I'm going to kind of shed some real world information on this particular scooter. I'm going to call it a bike, actually. So I'm cruising here in the maxed out speed in speed limit 1. Looks like we're right about 10 miles per hour, and I'm going to bump into speed load 2, and you get a little bit of a jump initially, and looks like we're probably in the neighborhood of 11. So now I'm going to jump into speed limit 3, and we're basically getting the maximum out of this 15 amp controller right now, which you can tell is, you know, in the 15 to 16 mile per hour range. I know some reviews I've seen say 20 miles per hour and you know, massive range. Well, I don't really know about that, honestly. It's really comfortable, and it's approachable for some folks that maybe a scooter's intimidating for. But you know, I don't know. It's really geared towards people that are not like hardcore, like scooter riders or anything like that. So I'm going to finish working my way through these few little twisty corners here, and I'm going to do a hill climb. I'm going to do this hill climb real quick and then show you what we got at the top. So I'm in the 3rd speed mode, so in theory the maximum amount of output from the motor, it just kind of limits the speed. So here we go, 3, 2, 1. So like I said, Vora Motors says this will climb a 30% incline, and this is a 10 to 12 to 14% incline, and it looks like it's going to do it, but I'll put on the screen how its climbing ability compares to some other scooters I've reviewed here. And we're just about there. 3, 2, 1, and we stop. So some of the features you get on this, you got a 350 watt motor in the rear. I don't think it's geared, but there's not a lot of information even looking up this serial number. You got a basic, you got a rear, this is a spring shock here, your rear light, very bouncy seat, so you get a lot of comfort. And you know, the battery and everything's in here like I showed in the back of my car. And you can see some of the issues with the rebranding. There's, you know, there's some details that you see shining through, and actually at certain angles you actually see some wording right here. The reason for the purple accents is this has some plastic on there that wouldn't come off, and I really didn't like the way that looked, so I sanded it off and used some plastic paint that I had. The kickstand and the handle work nicely. It's only about 43 pounds, so it's a light little piece of equipment. Just single piston mechanical disc brakes, 160 millimeter rotors. They stop this small scooter, bike, whatever you want to call it, quite quickly. The handlebar's quite basic. You do have a mechanism that allows you to do the tilting, even though with a straight handlebar that's not quite as, you know, imperative. Multifunction lights, horn, speed limit indicator, twist throttle on the right. Basic display that's always in kilometers. The kilometers are ingrained into the display itself. Minimum amount of adjustability in here. So when you buy this bike, it comes fully assembled, except you have to put on the stem here, and then you have to put in the peg system. Inside of here, is a threaded bottom bracket. And you'll see in part 2 of my video, I'm actually going to put some pedals on here, and because this also is threaded for a freewheel, and just kind of see how that works. Even though you wouldn't have a pedal sensor, I kind of like the idea of being able to pedal a little bit. Consequently, this is a standard kind of like size for pegs, so you actually can thread those on there if you really wanted to, and I kind of like that. 12.5-inch tires here with a nice little, you know, they're anodized, and I put these little other purple accents on here. You know, decent fenders, nothing's too high end, but you know, it's got decent wire management. Everything kind of comes together okay to make a, you know, it's a fun little comfortable scooter slash bike. You have to have the key in to ride it, so just to know that. And the key fob has, you lock it and it has an alarm and immobilizes. So see, it does that, and then it locks up that rear hub when somebody tries to take it. It's just kind of interesting. And then you can supposedly remote start it here. No, I guess not. That's like the panic button. I thought you could remote start it. But anyway, it's a little multifunction remote. And there's a phone holder here with USB output. So I've already done one range test on that, and I'll talk about it as I'm riding here. But I'm going to go ahead and try to do a range test in the 3rd speed mode. So the 160 millimeter rotors with these single piston brakes, I'll just show you here. I'm going pretty good coming down this hill, and it really has good stopping power. I'm not somebody with something that goes this fast. I think it has plenty of stopping ability. Again, you'll probably see how it just, those little bumps like that, it just soaks them up. Like it's a little bit like riding on a marshmallow. So the display is reading a little bit hard to read in this. Actually, in the shade, it's not too bad. Maybe you can see it there. It says we're at 37 kilometers. I'm not sure that I believe that, but it looks like, let's see what we get up to here. There's the tiniest bit of downhill. We're getting up to 15, 16. There's been some reviews I've seen where they said 20 miles per hour, massive range. My first range test, I went 18, right under 18 miles, and I'll put that on the screen. I still had 40% battery, so if you project that down to the 20%, it's probably a little over 20, between 20 and 25 miles of range in the middle speed mode. So I'm kind of expecting from this ride somewhere in the 15 mile range. So, even, oh gosh, it scared the crap out of me. So even though this is a 350 watt motor, its efficiency was still running in through this 15 amp controller at like 25 watt hours per mile, which is not great efficiency for a small motor. And I don't know exactly why that might be, but just something to be aware of. I just wanted to show the scooter here in the back of my car, which gives you a good idea. I have a Toyota Highlander here, and it fits in there pretty well. Of course, you got to put the seat down. This works as a handle, and when you take the seat off, you gain some height. So you go from the height from the ground up, 25.5 to 31 inches. So that's the seat all the way down. So if you need some extra height clearance, you take off the seat here. You can see here it's a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery, and it's going through a 15 amp output controller. And then you can see here, Vora Motors tends to do a good job with the caulking. You can see all these connections are siliconed. So you're getting some extra protection, a little bit more than you'd expect with a lot of these things. I'll just continue on. So even though we're only going in the range of 16 miles per hour, she feels fairly zippy, not bad at all. I really do like this wheel size, like a scooter. It just seems like it's right, to me, it's the right size where you get some stability. I can ride one-handed. I'll put on the description down below all the dimensions that I measure: the handlebar, minimum and seat height, maximum seat height, and just some of those things. Suspension wise, this is really comfortable, but I'm only 3 miles in and my butt's already thinking this isn't the best idea in the world. The other thing to note is this does not have cruise control, so I'm having to hold the throttle all the way open. What I notice is I've done some cold weather riding on this, and with a thick glove that can be a little difficult. You just have to kind of roll it and keep it in place. So we're coming up to area of hills. Like I did that actual hill climb. Like I said, Vora Motors advertises a 30 degree. I think it's degree on their website, or percent. There's a lot of confusion on those two. I've got it. There's no way it's going to climb something with this amp output controller. It just can't climb that big of a hill. It barely was able to climb a 12 to 14% at the steepest portion. So you can even see right here, we're dropping way down in speed. I do feel like this is a really easy to ride, like, alternative. It's comfy. It goes down low enough for most people. This motor is really quiet. You'll hear there's a little bit of front disc brake rub right now. What I tend to do on these, most of these budget scooters and bikes have sort of low end brake components, and I find it doing an initial adjustment, riding for a little bit, even if it's rubbing and you get a little wear on the pads, and then readjusting them, seems to work out well for me. So I'm just I'm throwing the scooter up here on this table. Hopefully the wind's pretty killer right now coming into my face. But just to show you, there's some of the rebranding from Voro Motors. Again, those mechanical disc brakes here with 160 millimeter rotors front and rear. The charge port cover, I've had trouble with it coming off. It doesn't seem like it stays on very well. The folding mechanism, I mean, the bike itself is pretty solid. The welds are, you know, all right. Hey, I'm back again. I attempted to do a range test in speed limit 3 on the ORCA as part of this initial review. I had an issue with the brake motor inhibitor wire. Must have been sending a signal that the brakes were engaging when they weren't. So I decided to go ahead and post this first video knowing that I'm going to do a second one. So there's going to be a second video that's going to have, I'm going to put pedals on it like I alluded to. It's got that threaded bottom bracket, and I'll give you those part numbers and let you know how that worked out. Anyway, I'll just give one more look at it. It's a fun little scooter bike, and I can't land on if I want to call it a scooter or a bike, as you've probably seen through the review. You know, for the right person in the right situation, it has some approachability that a lot of scooters don't have. And you know, it looks kind of fun, and you know, I have some affection for it, I guess, but it's got its limits too. So thanks a lot. Hope this is helping you out. Talk to you soon. Hey, how's it going? It's Jim. And bam! You know, this should Popular Scout. Grunt transition. I'm gonna go talk to my chickens.
Oh, no way. It's pretty neat.
Catch the wave, feel the